Hello everyone, this is Zooc and today I'm bringing you a bit of a specialized video. I was waiting to get to a decent point in my weight loss journey that I embarked upon at the beginning of February, where I could basically make some sort of progress report, show some before and afters, talk a bit about some concepts pertaining to this issue that I know and we all know that a lot of people are faced with. You know, obesity is rising in a lot of countries, US especially. And it's just getting a bit worse and worse with the amount of fat people around and how difficult they claim it is to lose weight. Well, it's not the first time I've done it, as I've said many times. I went through this journey in 2008 or 9, I don't even remember anymore, where I lost basically the same weight that I'm losing right now. I lost 65 kilos or something like that. Back then I started at a weight of 180 with no prior training at all, and managed to lose 65, I guess, over the course of about a year, doing basically the same thing I'm doing right now. So the method that I'm applying clearly is working, at least for me. It's the most efficient, the easiest to be on, and I think overall it gives you most bang for your buck, or most bang for your time invested, really, since that's what the problem is in the first place, the amount of time you invest in working out and reading about nutrition and applying all the principles and all that. So let's see some pictures first, because I know that's what a lot of people are curious about. These pictures that you can see on the screen right now were taken in September of 2015 when I was still in Prague. As you can undoubtedly see, I was a pretty fat fucker. Here I was at the same weight that I started at, 161, a weight which I kept throughout 2015 and the beginning of 2016 when I decided that I didn't want it anymore. So in these pictures, you know, you can clearly see that I am morbidly obese. You know, I am very much aware of that concept. And 4 months later, I am posing in the same clothes that I wore back then. That black shirt is exactly the same one in the picture. The pants are the ones that I came back to Bucharest with from Prague. Yeah, I mean, you can see what 30 kilos looks like. It's a pretty huge difference. And in actuality, it's more than 30 kilos of fat, because in 4 months I put on quite a serious amount of muscle mass. So if I manage to still go down in weight, then it's probably more around 40 kilos of fat, I would say, traded in for a few kilos of solid muscle. So yeah, I mean, it works. What I'm doing works. I know it works. It's worked before. It's going to work again if I ever in my life allow myself to get to that weight again. I'm going to be doing the same thing I'm doing now, fully conscious. And it all starts with the most important factor, which is the mindset. Without the mindset, you cannot do any of this. Nobody can lose weight without a proper mindset. And this is the problem that most people who abandon losing weight are faced with. They just don't have the proper mindset. Fat shaming, as I read in a recent article, has apparently been scientifically proven to actually work, even though social justice warriors on the internet are very much against shaming of any kind. I don't really mind. Like, for me personally, fat shaming has been a part of my life for my entire life. And so I've grown accustomed to it. To be quite honest, I was pleasantly surprised when I started making YouTube videos that not a lot of people were actually fat shaming me. They weren't really pointing out the fact that I was fat, or like making fun of me because I was fat. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I thought way more people would, because in Romania, we have this, we don't really care for other people's feelings. We sort of just like lay it on pretty hardcore. We kind of like cuss them out, call them fat, tease them, you know, or, you know, anyone that has any sort of physical deficiency or handicap gets made fun of. We are an insensitive nation. It is what it is. So yeah, when I was exposed to the internet, I was surprised about like how nice people actually are, and they hold it back. But I think that there is some merit to the idea of constantly pointing out that someone has a flaw that they could fix if they wanted to, because there's this movement going on now whereby some women are encouraging other fat people to love themselves as they are, to be comfortable in their immense bodies, to basically not make any effort towards improving their condition. People who state that their lives would not be better if they lost weight, that they should be loved and treated exactly the same as all the thin, good-looking people, which is a load of bullshit for me, honestly. And I say this from the point of view of a morbidly obese or former morbidly obese person. You shouldn't love yourself. You shouldn't be happy in your body. You should fucking fight to change your condition, because if we are to take it from a biological and evolutionary point of view, fat people are sort of an anomaly. They are sort of an abomination if you truly look at it objectively. I mean, in a physical situation, or any situation that involves physical effort, a fat person will lose to a thin person. A thin person, or a fit person, better said, is always preferable in a hunt, in a hike, in a run, in a fight, in any sort of situation that implies strength, speed, agility. A fat person will most likely lose 9 times out of 10. Maybe not in sumo, but yeah, Japanese. What you gonna do? So they are an anomaly. They technically should not exist, like should not be this fat or get to a point where they are this fat. But this is, a consequence of modern society. We all know this. The accessibility to food, the tendency to gorge nonstop, especially in the US, where you are basically surrounded by food, and any opportunity to do anything, including like visiting a gallery or going to a park or anything, involves munching on something. There's always some stand where they sell you something, either a soda or a fucking, I don't know, popcorn or chips or corn dogs or all the good shit, stuff that I love too. I love to eat that shit. But it is bad for you. And people are, throughout the day, they are constantly gorging on this, or grazing, better said, on these foods that are inherently bad. And also, the cultural tendencies of certain countries to have pastries for breakfast, and then brunch again, and then another snack, and then a big lunch, and then another snack, and then a big dinner. I mean, that's just, it's more food than, way more food than a person needs throughout the day. But this is, again, you get into a discussion of like macronutrients and their effects on, especially carbohydrates, and their effects are on insulin. And like if you start your day with a Danish pastry, you're probably going to be pretty hungry an hour or two later, and then you're going to have to eat something again. And the things that are most accessible are the cheap products made of flour, mostly like muffins, cakes, coffee cakes, more pastries, bear claws, some sort of sandwich with white bread. Bread is like a constant thing that's in food. Either it's breaded and fried, or it's breaded and something else, or it comes wrapped in bread, or it's always there. And what bread does is make you hungrier overall. At least our modern version of bread. Maybe the ancient bread made from wheat, the wheat that grew like 1,000 years ago, was better. I would tend to think it was much better than what we eat nowadays. But people don't really think about that a lot. So let's take it logically and talk a bit about the process that I went through. What did I eat? What did I do? This is what... oh, wait, we're still on the mindset, actually. No, let's go back a bit. So the mindset is as follows. It's that simple. Either you want to be fat and pretend you're happy and get encouraged by other fat social justice warriors on the internet to pretend that you're happy. Or you can... make a little effort, change your perspective on certain things, reach a level where you are actually happy with yourself, where you're slaying an enormous amount of pussy when you're walking into a room and men look at you with either admiration or jealousy, and women look at you with lust. I mean, those are your two options. Either you can be fat and complain that it's so hard to lose weight and that you're comfortable with yourself and you love yourself, which is a blatant lie. It is a blatant lie. There's only a certain threshold up until which you can lie to yourself. Was that correct? Up until there is a certain threshold. There's a certain limit as to how much you can lie to yourself. Fuck thresholds. I was there too. I mean, when I was fat, I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm cool being fat. But I wasn't. It was just lying to myself. Come on, let's be honest here. Nobody is happy not being able to buy clothes in stores, not being able to buy stuff that fits you properly, not being able to walk more than a few hundred meters without sweating and huffing and puffing, not being able to get on an airplane without a fucking seatbelt extension. Nobody's happy doing that. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. True happiness comes from being comfortable and having control over yourself. Being fat signifies a lack of control. Once you have the power and the control over yourself, your body, and you mold it into an optimal form, that's very rewarding. It is. You can take my word for it. So that is the mindset. Either you change it completely and you stop saying, oh, I can't give up bread, I can't give up chips. Yes, you can. Anyone can. There is no such thing as I can't give up bread. I love fucking bread. I would stuff my face with bread on some days, even now. But I don't, because I think of the long-term benefits. I think of that feeling of walking into a room and having women eye fuck me. I think of that. And somehow it gives me a bit more satisfaction than Wonder Bread. Yeah, it's really that simple. And I managed, up until now, throughout these last years, I wasn't able to switch my mindset. I was getting gratification from food, from the pleasure of food, and trust me, there's no one that takes more pleasure from food than me. The first thing I do is when I visit a new country is ask where the fucking locals eat. You know, where's the food? Take me to the food that they eat here. That is the first thing. I don't care about the architecture, the museums. It's like, take me to the place where they have food. That's me. So if I can do it, I can guarantee that other people who don't have, a passion for cooking or are obsessed with food science and the process of it as much as I am, definitely can. People who just eat chips, you can give it up. I promise you that. If you want to. If you don't, just keep eating that shit and that's going to be that. Life will eventually end. So that's the mindset. Let's talk about the nutrition. I made a few other weight loss videos a while ago, and I was advocating a ketogenic diet, or better said, Atkins diet. It worked. I lost 20 kilos with it, but it's incredibly hard to sustain. That's the problem with it. That's the main problem with it. I still think it works. I still know it works, but it's just hard to maintain long term. So I switched over from Atkins to basically paleo. And what paleo is, for the people that aren't really into the whole nutrition thing, is basically eating the same way as our supposed ancestors did, which is giving up any sort of processed foods, like anything that comes in a package, except basic raw materials like milk and whatever, butter, which is still processed, I guess, but mechanically processed and not chemically processed. Giving up sodas, of course, giving up grain, like wheat, whole wheat included, rice, brown rice, potatoes, just any sort of white refined carbohydrate, sugar implicitly, any sort of artificial sweetener, so that crosses off sodas off the list entirely. I think I had 2 sodas in the last 4 months. I only have like a small one when I go out, and it's a treat, really. That's it. But I used to drink 2 liters of Diet Coke every day. And I know some people do, thinking that, oh yeah, I'm just going to lose weight with this shit. It doesn't. Aspartame and all the artificial shit that is in sodas stimulates your insulin the same way as sugar does, and oftentimes has more detrimental effects on the body than if you were to actually eat sugar. Not to mention that Coke with sugar has just an insultingly large amount of sugar in it. So if you want to start, give up sodas. That's a very good starting point for any sort of initiative to lose any sort of fat. So yeah, give up grain, give up potatoes, give up rice. You can have sweet potatoes once in a while. Those are, for some reason, on the paleo approved list. Even though, from a nutritional standpoint, they are kind of just as fattening as actual potatoes, white potatoes. But they are very dense, and they have a much larger content of minerals and stuff that is good for the body. So in essence, you could say they're a superfood. I read some study that basically says that men could live off sweet potatoes for a very, very long time, just sweet potatoes alone. They are very nutritionally dense, and if you're going to eat a carbohydrate, that is kind of the recommended course of action. So what do you eat? Since you can't eat all this good stuff that is so common in food, especially in the US. Well, grilled meat, grilled lean meat or grilled fatty meat, whatever, it doesn't matter. Animal fat is fine. Butter is fine. Eggs, eat as many as you want. They are totally fine. That whole cholesterol thing was disproven and sometime at the beginning of this year. Even the World Health Organization changed how they recommended eggs. You can basically have as many eggs as you want every day. So it's a good base to, to switch around all sorts of recipes and get creative with them. Obviously, any kind of meat, fish, any kind of vegetable, preferably green, because it has a lower GI index, lower GI basically. That's glycemic index. So it spikes your blood sugar the least. Red vegetables and stuff like onions and garlic have a pretty high glycemic index. They have a high sugar content. But of course, you can eat fucking onions. Like, nobody's gonna count the calories in an onion. Just go nuts. So you can make a lot of things even without bread and potatoes and rice. Any sort of like steamed, roasted vegetables, any sort of stew with beef or, even potatoes in it sometimes. I mean, you can have a potato once in a while. I have fries too once in a while. It's not a restrictive way of eating. But you just, in time, once you actually start eating properly and not eating a bunch of crap every day, or starting your day off by eating crap, your cravings will go away, just like mine did. I don't really crave a lot of stuff. For example, this is a typical day of eating for me. I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee with 20% fat cream in it. I have a protein shake. Sometimes I don't. I just have my coffee with the cream. I go work out. I have a protein shake after. Then I wait a couple of hours and I have lunch, which is usually some sort of meat with some sort of vegetable. Chicken, grilled chicken with salad, roasted chicken with like garlic on it and roasted peppers, all sorts of meat plus vegetable combo. And then that fills me up for about 6 or 7 hours, really. And in the evening, sometimes I either make myself a couple of eggs with a piece of cheese and a couple of slices of ham or something, or I eat a small yogurt with some nuts in it. Sometimes I put a bit of honey in it if I'm really feeling like something sweet. And that's it. That's the amount of food that I'm eating throughout one day is less than what I would eat at an American restaurant on a usual Sunday dinner, I think. It's basically under 2,000 calories, even less than that. And I don't feel hungrier, and I lift a lot. And I'm gaining muscle and I'm gaining strength. I'm not losing anything. I'm not wasting away. So clearly eating this little works for me, and I'm not feeling starved. It's fine. Once you get yourself accustomed to the idea that food is no longer a pleasure, no longer something that you should constantly be doing to get pleasure from, it becomes much, much easier to just not eat as much. So what else? Like, you can eat fruit once in a while, just don't go overboard with it like a lot of vegans do, just eating a ton of fruit. And that's basically it. It's really simple. You don't need to buy any book over it. Just like give up the processed shit, give up the grains, give up the breads, give up the breaded, and avoid stuff like vegetable oil, seeds oil. If you're going to fry something, you can use palm oil, you can use lard, you can use butter, you can use olive oil, which is decent, not as good as is said in popular beliefs, but it's still pretty good for you. It's less bad than all the other ones. Peanut oil is all right, but not amazing. So if you're going to fry something, it's either preferable to use lard or palm oil. Those are pretty fine because they're not hydrogenated or anything like that. And eat butter. Stop eating any sort of butter replacement. Don't eat margarine. That shit is really bad and kind of disgusting. I know a lot of Eastern European countries are really into margarine because they believe it's healthier than butter. I guess studies take a while to arrive to countries like mine, for example. And that's it for nutrition. I mean, just go to bodybuilding.com and look at a diet plan there. It's very simple. Just don't eat grain. I mean, bodybuilding is likely going to recommend like oatmeal and all sorts of bullshit. Just skip that. Skip the oatmeal. Don't eat grains in general. As soon as I eat any sort of grain product, my weight loss halts or even reverses. As soon as I stop eating that shit, I lose fat. It's that simple for me. Like, I'm completely sold on the idea that grains are not amazing for the human body. At least not the ones we're growing right now. Not the genetically modified ones that we're growing for the past 6 decades or so. Maybe the ancient grains were fine. The grains that our ancestors thrived on, they were different. They were natural. They weren't fucked with. What we're eating today is mostly fucked with. A lot, including the animals. So yeah, meat is bad. If you can, I mean, the meat is infested with all sorts of shit. If you can buy organic, buy organic. If you can buy pasture raised, buy that one. Buy the most bio-expensive one you can afford, really. But you don't have to. I eat supermarket chicken and supermarket beef. And it's the reality you live in. Yeah. Don't go vegetarian, because that's really stupid, honestly. Like, being a vegetarian is fucking retarded. And I say that after having read many, many volumes on nutrition from all points of view. From people who recommend high carb, from people who recommend low carb, high fat, low fat, vegetarian, vegan, ovo-lacto, whatever the fuck else, strictly meat, strictly fat. I mean, I've seen all points of view. Vegetarianism is stupid. Now, on to training, which is another issue people have a problem with. People are not very informed as to what works. I'll tell you what works. What works is strength training. If you can combine strength training with high-intensity interval cardio, you got yourself a winner recipe. But you don't have to. I'm doing it strictly on strength training. If you take 1,000 people off the street and you show them a fat person, I think 90% of them are going to probably say that he should go running. He should go get on a treadmill. You know, that's a popular saying on the internet. Get your fat ass on the treadmill. Do some jumping jacks or shit like that. Yeah, that shit is, I mean, you can lose weight with it, but it's the least optimal way. Other than sitting around on the couch, it's the least optimal way of losing weight. So what you do, as a female or as a male, does not matter gender here, is you make yourself a properly structured strength training workout plan with progressive overload. Progressive overload it means that you will progress in the weights you use from week to week, or every 2 weeks you increase a bit. Basically, you define a range of sets and reps, and once you can do them, you increase the weight, and so on and so forth. It is impossible to not lose weight by doing strength training. A lot of people quit because they go running. I see fat people on the treadmill at my gym as well. They've been looking the same for 3 months. Like, nothing is changing with them. They run for half an hour and then they get off almost dead, almost having a heart attack. And the second day and the second week and the second month, they look exactly the same, and they keep doing the same thing. And I'm sitting there, 20 kilos lighter than them in the same amount of time, lifting my weights, progressing, getting stronger, and just shaking my head at them. Doing cardio is shit. Doing cardio is what you do when you're on the last little bit of fat that you have left on you. That's when you can do cardio. But when you're starting off, just forget about the treadmills, forget about the running, just pick up the damn weights. That's how you lose weight. The more muscle you have, the more metabolism you have. The higher metabolism you have, the more fat you burn. The better you look when you lose weight, because I browse r/lose it or something like that, and there's progress pictures there. And some guys especially, it's really sad when you see a guy having lost the same weight I'm working on, 50 or 60 kilos, saying that, oh yeah, I just been doing running and on the treadmill and cardio for a year now, and they look like a bag of bones in a flabby fucking skin hanging off them, not a bit of muscle on them. They look really bad. Like, you're basically doubling the amount of effort you're gonna have to put in if you don't start with strength training, because to fill that skin up, to actually look like a human and not like a deflated Jabba the Hutt, you have to have some muscle mass to fill that skin up, to give you some shape, like a V-tapered back or, any sort of shape. Seriously, they just look like a skeleton in a potato bag, just flopping around in that massive skin hanging off them. It's kind of disgusting, actually. So, what's a good base to start off with? Well, Mark Ripito is a very much revered figure in the world of fitness. There's also a book that I've been reading which gives some very good info, which is called Bigger, Leaner, Stronger or something like that. Or, yeah, whatever. It's written by some guy, Michael, whatever. Just look it up on Amazon. But it doesn't really matter. You can just wing a training program that whatever looks good to you works at the beginning. There is the concept known as Newbie Gains. Basically, when you're starting off, you're going to see a lot of development in the first few months. You're going to see a lot of gains, and you're going to gain strength quite fast because the muscles are really excited to get going. But once you reach a certain threshold, a few months later, it tends to halt a bit, and you're going to start kind of wondering what's going on. Like, you're not going to be accelerating as fast as you were used to before, and that is the point where you have to kind of rework your program and really focus on the progressive overload and try and measure progress more precisely. Because if you keep fucking around, you're kind of going to stagnate quite a bit. I mean, you're still probably going to lose weight, but here is about getting to, the idea in the end is not just about losing fat, but getting to a physique that looks good in clothes, that looks good in a suit, that you can walk around in and feel good in, and, you know, have people like eye fucking you on the street. That's the idea. Not just to lose fat, but to lose fat while building up some of the good stuff. Because as I said, just losing fat will make you look skinny fat, and you'll have skin hanging off you. So a program, something like you can split it in any amount of days you wish. A 2-day split, a 3-day split. Right now I'm doing a 5-day split. So I'm going to the gym 5 days a week with 2 days rest on the weekend. And I'm doing basically one body part each day. So today I did chest and abs. And then you can do back and calves. And then on leg day, you can do something else. Like, you can structure it basically any way you want. Or you can do even a full body workout 3 times a week at the beginning. You don't really need to pay that much attention to what you're doing. Just do something, feel like you've reached exhaustion. Be sure to hit every major muscle in the body, like chest, back, arms, legs, and core especially, which is very important. 5x5 strong lifts. It's a decent program to start off with. Very good for people that don't have any previous knee injuries or stuff like that. I can't do strong lifts because you have to squat every day, and I can't squat. I can squat like maybe 60 kilos, and past that point, my knee starts really hurting. I have a torn ligament of some kind anyway, so some bullshit. But big compound movements, deadlift, squat, bench press, shoulder press are all good things you can do and very easy to track progress with. A lot of people do a lot of isolation work. I've done a lot of isolation work too, and it works. I mean, it's not optimal, but it does work. So, if you want to do 1 million bicep curls every day or whatever, it's still better than nothing, but it's not optimal. I am more interested in the optimal formula. So right now I'm doing a program that focuses on a low rep range, something like 4 to 6 reps. I changed it this week, actually, from a high rep set to a low rep set. So 4 to 6 reps with very high weights, and progressive overload the following week with 2.5 kilo to 5 kilo increments, depending on how I feel. And we'll see how that goes. I'm at the point where I'm reaching that threshold that I talked about, where I'm not really making as much progress as I did at the beginning. But I can definitely, like, my back is much wider in terms of muscle. My pecs are starting to pop out. If I really dig my fingers deep in my belly fat, I can feel that bulging sort of six-pack muscles. So I'm getting there. It's going to be another few months until I reach my goal weight of 100 kilos, which looks decent enough for me, because I believe my lean mass is about between 90 and 95 kilos, and it's probably going to go up in the following months if I do like a proper training program. And this works for women too. You will not get big and muscly as you think if you don't take testosterone or shit like that. It's just not going to happen. So girls, relax. Just go to the gym and lift some fucking weights and stop with the treadmill nonsense. And what I also do, which I think helps a bit, is every afternoon I do a second mini workout, which involves, at this point, doing 150 sit-ups and 3 sets of 50, so ab crunches, and also 90 push-ups and 3 sets of 30. And I do this every single afternoon before I take a shower. And I started off with like 15 sit-ups per set, and like 8 push-ups, and you can see there's progress there. Like, as the weight goes down, as the strength goes up, you can do more and more and more. And I'm probably in the following couple of months going to reach a level where I can do like 50 push-ups in one set, which is going to be quite fucking good, actually. I think that's That's a bit less than they forced the Navy SEALs to do or something like that. So it's doable. So this has been it. I mean, I could go on talking about all the finer details, but I think people can get a basic idea. But again, the most important thing you can change is the mindset, how you look at it. If you look at it like, oh, I just CBA with this shit, there's no point in even trying. But if it's something that you really want, oh my God, it's so fucking easy to achieve. Like this for me has been piss, honestly. Losing 30 kilos has been a piece of cake. I'm just not even stressed about it. Haven't been stressed about it once in these past 4 months. Never have I broken down crying after a fucking sandwich or a pizza. I actually don't even restrict myself that much. Once a week I'll have some really shitty food. Like even last week I had a pizza on Friday, and then on Saturday I had a beer, and I was grilling with some friends, and I had piece of bread, and I had whatever. Just like eat whatever you want, just don't eat a lot of it. So, well, unless you're really craving it like I am with my pizza. I usually buy a medium pizza from Pizza Hut with thick crust. So that's a whole lot of fucking bread right there. But I'm not fazed about it because I know it's only going to stall me for maybe a day and a half. And afterwards, I'm back to normal. So, when I go to the movies, I have a big thing of popcorn. Throughout the month of March, I think I went out to restaurants about 4 or 5 times or something and had ridiculously large quantities of food with ridiculously bad ingredients in them. And I was not even fazed about it. Like, it's not that stressful at all for me. I could have probably lost more weight if I really, really focused on it and never had a soda, never had a slice of bread. But I'm not stressing about it because why should I? If I really crave something, I'll have it. And that's going to be it. It's not a cheat day. It's not a cheat meal. It's just, I want a pizza today. And I get a pizza. And then tomorrow I go work out and I don't have a pizza. And eventually I lose another 2 kilos in a week. And the life is good. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people think it's so hard. I don't really think so. I could probably do it again, although I highly doubt I'm ever going to let myself get back to 160 kilos because that shit is a pain in the ass. Now that I can actually walk into a store and buy shit off the shelf that fits properly, oh man, that's a good feeling. Nothing beats that. No fucking pizza beats that. I can guarantee that. So anyway, this has been my progress report on losing weight, changing my life and all that shit. I'm feeling really positive about it, and I can tell from people's reactions to my previous video that they are a bit taken by surprise by the changes. I look at myself every day, so I don't really notice them as much. But putting the pictures side by side, yeah, you can definitely see the difference. So I encourage everyone that has any sort of inclination towards pushing their life in a more positive direction to embark on this. It's easy to get all the info. Amazon is full of books. Reddit is full of good info. The info is definitely out there waiting for people with the proper mindset to ingest it and apply it. So thanks for watching. Please rate that shit if you found it useful or interesting. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.